Hey everyone, how's it going? Ezekiel the Barber back with another video for you. We'll get right into this haircut today. We're going to be using an 8 guard on top, followed by a high bald fade. There it is there, 8 guard on top with a high bald fade. I like to start by combing everything out first. Now, I'll be using a Wahl Senior 5-star clipper. I like to use this clipper especially when I need to get bulk down. Now we'll have that lever all the way closed, which means we'll get the closest cut that we can. Now I'm setting my first guideline here. Okay. And I'll just basically follow these steps all the way around. Want to keep everything nice and even. So in this video, which is a really good lesson for you, was one for me, and barbers or aspiring barbers, anyone cutting out there, they'll also experience this. Sometimes you'll do a fade and you'll set your guideline, and then when you start your fade, your client will basically want to bring that fade up higher. Now the only problem is with hair, if you set a high guideline, you can't put the hair back, so that's a huge problem. So it's always a safer bet to start with a lower guideline. If you need to bring that fade higher, then you could do so. Right now I'm just using that Wahl 5-star Senior clipper with the guard all the way closed, cleaning off any hair in the sideburn area. Now I'll just use it around the back of his head. We'll follow that to the right side of his head. Just kind of want to make sure that that guideline is nice and even. Now, sometimes I like to put a slight drop in my fades, or I'll exaggerate the drop. Sometimes my clients will tell me that they just want no drop at all. So, it's all about what they want, what their needs are. So I'm just using that Wahl 5-star Senior clipper, nice and smooth. You don't have to go hard. And it's just cutting right through that hair, as you can see here. Really good clipper. So that pull-out stroke that you see me doing there is called a C stroke. Kind of where you pull out once you get to your guideline, you just pull out. Now this C stroke allows for an easier transition when you fade. That's basically why we do that. Now, anytime you're around that ear, you always just want to make sure that you pull that ear. I definitely can't stress that enough. Very important fact. Definitely really easy to cut the ear or the side of the ear. So you always want to make sure you pull that. All right. So it's looking pretty good here. Looks like we could go ahead and go to the next phase. As you can see here, I'm using a Babylis 2 guard, and I'm still using that with the Wahl 5-star Senior clipper. Love the interchangeable blades. Definitely a huge plus. So I'll use that guard with the lever all the way open, the furthest away from the cutting blade. It's not gonna, give that overkill as far as the cut. All right, looks like we're good there. So now the next guideline that I set is basically an open wall. As you can see right here, I just have the lever open, which is the furthest away from the cutting blade, and it's creating, which is almost like a half or a 1 look. Looks like there's something there. You always want to feel for it, go really smooth. All right, looks like everything's good there, so I continued on with the cut. Now I just want to basically continue this guideline all the way around. I like to make sure that my guidelines are anywhere from about, I'd say, 1 inch to 1/2 inch wide. And once I set my guideline, I'll just attack the bottom line. All right, we'll just open that lever up, continue setting that guideline. Now I'm going on to the next guideline, which is I'm using a 1 guard. So I have that lever all the way open. And I'm just setting that next guideline about 1 inch to 1/2 inch wide. And then I'll just literally attack the bottom line. everything nice and smooth. You don't have to jab or anything into your client's head. Just nice and easy. All right. Everything's looking pretty good here. So I'm just opening up that lever, attacking any hard line that I see. Whenever I'm lower with my lower guidelines, say for instance, you know, in the zone that I am now, down on this fade right here, I'll close the clipper the closer that I am to the bottom of the fade. The higher that I am to more hair, then I'll open that clipper to, you know, give less of a cut. That's what the whole fading process is about. Just making a nice transition with those steps. And if you follow the steps with the guards, you could really get, you know, a nice clean fade. That's what they're there for. So right here, I'm just using that closed Wahl 5-star senior to kind of clean everything up. Any hairs that were uneven, I just kind of want to get everything nice and even, as smooth as possible. So I'll go back here with an open Wahl clipper. I'll open that clipper up, smooth in the zone where I use the 1 guard or the half guard. Now as I go a little higher, basically where I use that 2 guard, I'll put the 1 guard on, I'll open that guard all the way up, and then I'll kind of use that to transition from where I used the 1 guard going into that 2. Now the closer I am to the bottom where I use that 1, I'll just use a closed 1 guard. So now here it looks like it's time for the number 8 Wahl guard. We'll go ahead and use that on top. Now the number 8 Wahl guard is basically the equivalent to 1 inch. So it's gonna give you about 1 inch in length. So if that's what they're looking for, this is the guard for them. Now I'll use that all the way around, north, south, east, and west. We just wanna get a real even cut. Hair grows from every angle, every direction, so you have to make sure that you cut from every direction. Now once again, you don't have to jab or, you know, anything like that. Just want to go nice and smooth. Always want to use that blow dryer to keep any hair or debris off your client, keep everything nice and clean. All right, so you can kind of see the difference there. That guard is of course doing its job, the clippers are as well. So you just basically have to guide the clippers, let them do their job. Now once again, north, south, east, and west, cut from every angle. That's gonna give you a really thorough, really even cut. Now you always want to make sure that you comb through the hair as well to see any hair that, you know, is still in there that has already been cut. Just want to make sure you keep a nice clean palette. Everything nice and thorough. All right, a few more spots over the top. Just kind of want to go over those. Now you get a chance to see the strokes, the angles that I use. Always want to keep the hair out of the client's face. All right, let's get some hair off of them, blow dry them off. All right. All right, cool. So we'll continue with this process. And I just like to be really thorough. The reason why I created this channel was to kind of show people exactly how I achieve these haircuts, and also kind of what barbers have to go through. I mean, you really have to be really thorough. So here I'm using the clipper over comb technique. I use a thicker comb, Wahl 5-star senior clipper, and I'm just merging the edges of his head right into the top. So just taking off any hard weight. Now here you can basically, you know, customize your look. If he wanted to go for a round look, I would create that now. If he wanted things straight up or more box look, I would just keep that comb straight up. In this case, he wanted a more rounder look, so that comb is kind of rounded into his top a little bit more. Now I just want to, most important thing is If you choose to round it on one side, you want to do that same technique on the other side. So that's basically what I'm doing here. Now, once again, I like the thicker combs. It kind of error-proofs cutting. Right, everything, those little edges are smoothing out, those hard, spots, the weight that you see at the top there near the parietal ridge area. If you're not familiar with the parietal ridge area, definitely look that up, really good term. But this is the area in which I'm working in now. So I'll just clipper over comb, flick that hair out. So this is the case I was telling you guys about. Sometimes in the barbershop, the client will say, okay, I mean, it's looking pretty good, but can we actually take that a little bit higher? So in this case, we've done some steps. So I'm gonna set that guideline again. Now I know before I used a closed Wahl clipper, I'm just gonna go right back to that technique. You don't have a lot of time in the barbershop, so you kind of have to make haste with your time. So I'm going right back in. Looks like he's saying that we're pretty good there. So I'm just gonna set my next quick guideline, open that clipper all the way up. Now my guideline's about 1 inch to 1/4 of an inch wide. So basically I'm doing this process all the way around. He wanted to bring that fade up, go a little higher. So I wanted to close that clipper up, take that hair up all the way around, set that guideline, make sure everything is even. Then I'm gonna open that clipper up and set my first guideline once again. Once I set my first guideline, I'm just gonna bump out the bottom line. That's the bottom line. So that bottom line that you see, we're gonna just bump that out. Now you don't wanna go any higher than the bottom line. Then you're gonna take away from the fade transition. You wouldn't wanna do that now, would you? So we're gonna close that clipper, buff out the bottom line a little bit. Sometimes it's good to use the edges, the corners. All right, then I'm gonna put that one guard on, open that clipper up all the way, set my next guideline about 1 inch to 1/2 inch wide, and then just bump out the bottom line. Once again, that's the bottom line, people. All right, there it is. Bumping out the bottom line. Attack the bottom line. Open that lever up in this area. Then attack the bottom line. Opening the clipper all the way up. And then attacking the bottom line. Closing the clipper up, attacking the bottom line. That's how you fade. Now in this case, I decided to take that guard off and open that clipper all the way up just to kind of smooth in with the one you couldn't get. In this case, this is for me essentially like using the zero guard. Even though I did not put that zero guard on, I opened the lever all the way up because I know it's gonna give me kind of like a half look, which is that 0.5 look. The OA guard if it was a metal guard. All right, so the fade's coming together. Now here in this case, I know that near the top in the region that I'm using now, I used a 2 guard when we initially started the haircut. So basically, in order to kind of merge that in, I want to grab that 1.5 guard. And once again, I'll just start with that lever all the way open. I won't go too high. There it is there. It's that 1.5 guard, not going too high. About 1 inch to 1/2 inch with my guideline. Any dark weight on the bottom of that guideline, I'll just close the lever and attack the bottom line. Smooth everything out. Now you don't want to go too high. I know I used a 2 near the top when I initially started off. So to smooth everything out, I just kind of want to stay right under the bottom of where I used that 2 guard, just to kind of smooth everything out, make that transition a little smoother. I'll use a combination of opening and closing the clipper, even with that 1.5 guard on. The closer I am to the top, near the 2 guard, I'll open that clipper. The closer I am to the bottom near the 1 guard or that 0 baldness, I'll just close the clipper. All right, anytime you're around the ear, always want to make sure you pull that ear. All right, keep that ear out of harm's way. Now we're just gonna use the Oster Octane clipper. I have the outliner blade on. Now this is a 6-0 cut. So it's basically gonna get that super bald, not like a 3-0 where you're gonna get a stubbly bald. Definitely love the Oster Octane clipper. Definitely a beast. I mean, just rips right through hair. It's cordless. It's durable. They offer a really good warranty. Definitely one of my favorite in my arsenal. All right. Now you don't want to have to jam, you know, the blades do their job as long as you're using, you know, the right length. So just kind of want to guide everything, go really easy on your client. Now, the only thing about the metals is sometimes they have a habit of getting hot fast. That's kind of one of the benefits of using the plastic guards. That doesn't really happen. So here it looks like there's some hairs down there that I kind of want to clean up. Once again, I'm using that outliner blade. Since he wanted a bald fade, I'm just using that outliner blade to clean up any hairs that basically the clipper, the Wahl closed clipper could not get. Now the Wahl closed clipper can definitely get it pretty bald, but it's not gonna get it as bald as, say, this outliner blade. So definitely a cleaner look. It's gonna give your client more longevity on the haircut, give them more days on the haircut, which is definitely, you know, something that they usually want. Now I'm just staying low. I'm not going too high into the areas where I've already faded. I'm just cleaning up on this side, making sure everything is nice and clean and even. Really important to use that stroke that I'm using right here. For some reason that gets that area a lot cleaner. So just kind of go against the grain. Right. So it looks like the haircut's finally coming together. Just kind of really want to be really smooth under the neck or behind the neck. For some reason, the neck area is a very super sensitive area. So anytime you're using those trimmers or anything, just be really sensitive there. Right here, you know, we're close to finishing the cut. I like to go for my Andis Masters Cordless clipper. Now I'll use a combination of opening and closing the clipper. A closed master is gonna give you a 000 stubble look. An open masters is gonna give you that #1 length, basically the equivalent to putting on a 1 guard or a 1 plastic guard or a 1 metal. It's all the same thing, it's all relevant. All right, so we're just gonna smooth everything out right here. Everything's looking pretty good there. Love the Andis Masters. It's always a barber favorite as far as finishing your haircut. Definitely adds those finishing touches to your haircut. As you can see here, just kind of smoothing everything out. There it is. All right. So I'm just attacking that bottom. I see some weight there. Just kind of want to get that out, smooth everything out. Like to use a fine-tooth comb instead of a brush. Brush definitely gets contaminated with bacteria, funguses, all types of bad bacteria. So it's easier to clean a comb than it is a brush. A lot easier and a lot faster, and definitely a lot more sanitary than just using a brush. All right, so everything's getting nice and smoothed out here. All right, everything's looking pretty good. I always like to use a mirror as kind of like a second opinion. It's like a really good friend, always gonna give you that real opinion. So definitely you want to use, you know, a mirror. All right, just smoothing out any edges with the clipper over comb technique. The thing I like about the clipper over comb technique is you pull out and, you know, you cut what you want to cut. So whatever sticks over that comb is what the clippers are going to cut. If you're not intending on cutting that portion, don't allow it through the comb. It's that simple. So here I'm just using the Andis Masters to kind of clean up any hairs that stick over his hairline before I line him up. Kind of takes away from the lineup any hairs that kind of stick out, kind of in no man's land. I like to take care of that now. So I'll just, you know, any hairs that stick over his hairline, I'll just clean that up. Right. Perfect. We're in the barbershop, man. So got that good barbershop feel. So right here, I'm using the Wahl 5-star shaver. Just want to take everything nice and tight right in these areas here. We'll repeat these steps all the way around. Now this is definitely gonna give him more time before that hair grows back, really gets in there, smooths everything out, definitely cleans everything up. You want to have a really light touch. Always want to make sure that you disinfect any tools that you have. I like to use the Andis Cool Care. Can't stress how important that is. Clippers definitely carry bacteria, so you can't just use alcohol and assume that you'll kill fungus or bacteria. You definitely have to use something really strong. Andis Cool Care is definitely what I prefer. So I'll spray those down, let them dry, and then just go ahead and proceed to get them cleaned up. All right, perfect. Now what I like to do is I like to use these trimmers, whether it's the Babylis trimmers or the Andis Cordless trimmers. I like to get any hairs off first, and then I'll go behind it with the 5-star senior. Sometimes the 5-star senior can't cut longer hairs. So I found it a better recipe to basically use my trimmers first, get any longer hairs, and then just simply follow behind it with the Wahl 5-star senior shaver. I'll also use that around the ears, the neck area, just really low. I'm not going too high with that. I just want to bald everything out really low. I don't want to take away from his fade and have to do the fade over again. Any hairs that I see, I want to make sure I get that out of the way before I use the shaver in that area. Once again, boom, now we're clean. So it's safe to use the shaver. Perfect. All right. We'll just use that right around the ear area, really low. Make that fade pop out even better. And then here, we're pretty much done with the cut. We'll just go in for the lineup right here. On this haircut, it looks like I'm using the Andis Cordless trimmer. Love this clipper, definitely a beast, no cords. All right, so we're just gonna clean everything up. Now this is the T-edger blade. I kind of like to clean around the eyebrow area, the forehead, any little fuzzies that's on the forehead, you wanna get those out of there. Just go really light on the lineup. I like to kind of keep it natural unless they specify otherwise. Right, looks like we're coming together there. And once again, you just want to kind of repeat any steps that you do on the left side. You just want to repeat those same steps on the opposite side, just to keep everything even. Like to clean around the ear area. Sometimes they'll have fuzzies or hair sticking out. If I see anything, I'll just go over that. All right, you just want to once again do a really thorough job. I'm just using those trimmers. I know that it's a triple or 6-0 here. Basically here, this is super bald. So I know I'm in the clear. I'm just going over everything, making sure everything's nice and clean. Looks like the fade is pretty smooth here. All right. Now, the red guard that you see here, this is the number 2 Speedo clip. I like the Speedo clip. It's a shorter guard. It's called the Speedo clip for a reason. Allows you to kind of get faster transitions, see your fade faster. So I like to use this sometimes for a cleanup guard. Everything's looking pretty good there. Just gonna blow dry any loose hair off of him, any loose hair out of the top of his hair. Make sure everything is even. Now, I like to use the Suavecito, really excellent product. I'll spray a little water on, have a little Suavecito on my hand, and then I'll just wave it over the top, create those spikes, kind of that spiky look right there that you see. Now, you don't really want to work any product into the scalp. You kind of want to keep it on the hair. The reason for this is you can really pack the cuticle out with product or gel, and over time that can harden things, and then you don't want that because then you can start seeing things like hair loss, and sometimes that can be contributed to the products, and that's one of the reasons. So right now I just wanted to kind of go over everything, the products in, looking over everything. If anything looks bad to me, just kind of want to clean it up. Everything's looking pretty good here in this case. So I just kind of basically want to get him the mirror. Now, once I have the go ahead, then we're good to go. Now, I basically had to do 2 fades in one, so I know I'm running out on time. My next client is waiting. So, you have to definitely make haste and still kind of give your client what they're looking for as well. Now, I like to cut to a look, so if everything looks even, everything looks clean, then I feel like I'm pretty, much done with my job. Once my client gets that mirror, tells me the same thing, we're all on the same page. So here's the final cut, final version. Right, little 360 version. Okay, cool. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, like and subscribe.